Welcome, welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the little intro there. But welcome to episode number 1 of the Captain Quarters. I am the captain himself, Captain Chuckles, and tonight we have our first guest, a very special guest, the guest who will be in this weekend's SCI tournament. Uh, Originally from Kentucky,
Yes,
now
sir.
living in Georgia. And it's a very special day because today is actually this gentleman's 3-year wrestling anniversary. And we'll get into that. He is going for, or already is, I couldn't tell from my research, a doctor of chiropractic.
Almost next year.
Almost. Okay. He is an ambassador for Collar and Elbow. And if you don't know what that is, that's Al Snow's little apparel company. And he's also has an alias as the Georgia Avenger. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Welcome to the show, Mr. Landon Hale. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, Chuck. Thank you so much.
Hey, we are always so happy that you guys are able to take your personal time out to talk to us, out to talk to the people in Twitch, that to help them get to know you, to help them find new professional wrestlers that are out there. If they don't know the independent scene, hopefully we get some more people to traffic your social media sites, to watch your matches, to go out and watch you. But the first thing that we always talk about, and I stole this from Christopher, who's in the background running things. So if you guys have any questions in the Twitch chat, pop them in there. Chris will write them down. We'll get them over to Landon a little bit later. But we always want to know what a young Landon was like. So what were you like growing up as a little kid in Kentucky?
Well, my part of Kentucky, it's very mountainous. So like it's a very small. So I'm originally from I'm born in Pikeville, Kentucky, but I live in Harold, Kentucky, and it's a really small town. I say Pikeville because it's a very known area if you're from the mountains or the Appalachian area. Growing up, I grew up with my mom. Unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 7, so she raised me and my sister on her own. It was a struggle, but it was still like I lived a joyous life. I was an annoying kid. Like I was so energetic. I was adventurous. I played a lot of sports growing up. Played a lot of basketball and baseball. Growing up, I watched a lot of wrestling at the age of 5 up until then, and I guess just growing up again, it's not like a big city, so like Louisville, Kentucky, it's a very like city area. Our area of Pikeville, Kentucky, it's really mountainous. Like it's that town that you meet, like you can meet somebody and then you'll see them in town the next day because the town is so small. So like
Oh
you
wow.
will know everybody in the town, and it's just like it's that area that you would want to go to just to get away from technology. You want to get away from anything like you just want to get away for a while. It's kind of like when people say that they want to go to the mountains to enjoy themselves. That's what I describe Kentucky as, because it's you go to that area, you get away from the phones, you get to enjoy family time, quality time, and I'm a big family person. You know, I grew up with again like my mom and my mom on my mom's side and on my dad's side as well, having that family to come together. Like we're such a loving family, and that's what I grew up versus God family, and then everything else just falls into place. So I've lived a very blessed and fortunate life with growing up, especially even though I didn't have a dad at the time, but still growing up through it. Family's always been there. It's like I couldn't think of a better life. There's been a lot of roller coaster rides for sure, like anything in life, but
Yeah.
to get me where I am today, like it was fun for sure.
Was your town like known for anything? Like did you have like a certain thing? I mean, not all towns. I mean, where I grew up in New York, no one was coming to my town in New York to visit and be there on vacation. But like, was there a spot in Pikeville that like people would go to, or if they were traveling by, like they would stop at?
I know that Pikeville, Kentucky, they're very historic with the Hatfields and McCoys, which it's like
Okay.
it's kind of like their big, I guess it's like their rivalry. I forgot what the main story behind it was, but it's definitely one of like the most popular areas. And in Pikeville too, there's a university there which they have their own med program. Nothing really like special or significant. I mean, like they had the lookout, the Pikeville lookout, which back in I think it was like the 40s or the 50s, they had the Pikeville cut through, which they cut through a mountain, and it took years and millions of dollars worth of money just to have US 23 connected. Because used to they had like you'd have to drive around a mountain, and the way that
Okay.
they destroyed the mountain and made a road then makes it so much more convenient for travelers to drive by, and it's been awesome. And this was back like in the 50s. I think it was like the second biggest project behind the Panama Canal, so it's like the second biggest project
Damn.
in the world.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's way more interesting than where I grew up. I mean, I grew up like, so the only thing that anybody came to was going to the beach, and
Mm-hmm.
my town was known for nothing. So, and that's fine. It's whatever. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
And then, oh yeah, and then I was gonna say my town of Harold, Kentucky. I always make this joke too, which I mean it's not a joke because I love the town that I'm from. I love where I always know where my roots are, regardless of where I make it in life. But there's one gas station, a drive-through liquor store, like a few churches, and like a internet cable site. And so it's just funny to like mention that to people. Oh yeah, one red light. So
The drive-through liquor store. So like literally like you pull in, you go in and you go inside and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have a give me a case of Bud, get me a handle of Captain,
yes,
and yeah, that'll be it for today. That's what it is.
that's literally it. Like you can walk in, it's such a small convenience store, but sometimes like you just drive through, you hear the ring, and you're like, yeah, like a pack of Miller, like a 6 pack of Miller Lite or whatever you want, and they're like, yeah, I need to see some ID, and then they'll get it to you. So
That's fantastic.
it's
I love
awesome. But yeah,
that.
I love my area of Kentucky. It's amazing. It's definitely one of those places that you just want to relax. It's not anything like the nightlife of cities. It's just get away, chill, enjoy with family, and just enjoy yourself. It's amazing.
Do you go back home a lot? Like, do you still have family there, or?
I do. I know that. So my mom, she's still back in Harold, and my sister is as well. And then my mama, or my that's country way of grandmother for people that don't know. Um, my mama, she lives close by on my mom's side. On my dad's side, like grandmother, grandfather, they passed away a long time ago. But on my mom's side, they're very close. I have other family members on my dad's side. They live in like Michigan, Tennessee, Virginia. Like they're all scattered, but yeah, we still stay in touch. And we have so my mom, the house that she lives in now, the house next door is where my dad's mom had her house, and all the family members would go up there every holiday. So it's mostly Christmas, and we'd all get together and just enjoy ourselves. So I do go back whenever I can. It's usually during the breaks,
It's
like during like
cool.
Christmas, summer, fall break. So it's very like it's not as often, but the times I do, it's only a 6 hour drive from here in Marietta, Georgia to Pikeville, so it's not that far of a
Okay.
drive for me.
Yeah. Did did your family have like a favorite holiday? You know, like, or did your mom always like? I know my family. I always love Thanksgiving, just because all the food and everything. So, did your family have like a favorite holiday?
For me, it was definitely Christmas, and it was just because I had my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family, and it's like we do Christmas Eve on my dad's side, and then we'll do Christmas Day on my mom's side. Thanksgiving was awesome. Like I love Thanksgiving. The only thing that sucked about last year was my mama. She's the maker of all foods, and she literally has everything lined up from turkey to gravy all the way down to the end to like dessert. It's literally like, okay, here's a
Nice.
plate, here's more, here's more, here's more. Unfortunately, during that time, she tested positive for COVID, and
Oh,
so me, my mom, and my now fiance, we just made some food for Thanksgiving at the house, which we enjoyed it. So my fiance still hasn't yet see my mama's Thanksgiving cooking. So I'm excited about this year. It's gonna be awesome.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
there so many people's holidays were so different this past year because of it.
It was weird. I went up to Massachusetts. We make the drive too. Don't ask about that. It's 18 hours. It's ugh.
Oof.
That's our quality time, let's just say. But we drove up to Massachusetts for Christmas because even though it was a 6 hour drive for me to Kentucky, my fiance, she never gets to see her family as much, and it's an 18-hour drive.
Ooh.
So we drove up to there for Christmas, and my sister still lives with my mom. And my mom, oh no, my sister called me while we were making the drive to Massachusetts, and she told me that unfortunately she ended up getting COVID. So we got to celebrate with my fiance and her family. And then when we drove back down to Kentucky for New Year's, we actually got to stay with my mama and enjoy that company and stuff like that, which we kept our distance, but luckily they tested negative later. So we still got to see them and stuff like that.
Good.
So everything, it worked out for the best. But yeah, COVID's just been a wreck, and it's just doing so much. Like it's different, just like the dynamics, because you have people that have their ways of COVID. Like some people are anti-vax, pro-vax, whatever. But it's just some people, they act different towards it, and like some of my family members, they could be like that, and I understand that that's totally fine. But
Yeah.
it's just so different, because now it's like hugs and kisses to now it's kind of like keep our distance, and so it kind of like throws people off a little bit. So it does have kind of a sham with the whole COVID stuff going on, but we make the most of it.
Nice. Yeah, and in the green room earlier, we still had Val with us, so Val Pancake. So if anybody in the Twitch chat was listening to the first hour, Val's thing is she wants to take a picture and hug like every single person she can at SCI. So if you're going to SCI and you see Val, say hi. She's gonna want to take a picture and hug with and get a hug from you or something.
Yeah, and definitely too with yeah, I made sure that I got COVID tested. Actually, found out this morning that I was negative, so everything's good. So I'm in the clear with all of that, and I think everyone else should too before making that, because even though it's a virus, I mean, you would treat it as staying away. And there's one guy that he couldn't make it, and I felt so bad that he was looking forward to it. I forgot the guy's name. It's on Twitter. He's on Twitter, but he was saying that he tested positive and he couldn't make it. I just felt so bad just because of that situation, because
Yeah,
I can see how it is.
it does. And like, I mean, I know Christopher, myself, Val, and we've all been looking forward to getting to SCI. And I'm just like, I can't even believe that the weekend is here now. And it's like, I gotta, what is it? Friday morning. I think I'm leaving Pennsylvania at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to drive down there so that I get there in time. I think it's like
Geez, well,
a
safe travels.
9 hour drive. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
Shouldn't be
there
too bad.
probably like 3, 4 o'clock or something like that, just to say hi to everybody. So yeah, we'll definitely run into each other there for sure.
Are you coming in for the whole weekend? Are you just coming in for Saturday? Like what are your plans for the weekend?
I booked the hotel in advance because I know that the Scenic City is pretty popular with the wrestling community, and it's funny enough. I actually just found out last year, which we can talk about that later in the talk. But I booked it last week or 2 weeks ago, so I have a room. I think I'm coming down. I was wanting to come down tomorrow, but I do have adjustments to perform, because I'm in clinic now to where I adjust people outside of the community, and
Okay.
so I have patients coming in at like 5 o'clock, so I have to adjust them. So I'm probably going to come in Friday afternoon or something like that, like maybe like 3 or 4 o'clock on Friday, hang out, mingle, talk, hug Val, stuff like that. and,
Nice.
and then and yeah, so I'll be there for the first night, and then hang out for the SCI prom, and then be ready for the next morning.
Sweet. So now wrestling, like we said in the intro, today is your 3 year anniversary. You're
Yes, it is.
still a relatively young chap in the realm of age. So how did you get into being a fan of wrestling? Not even just getting into wanting to be a wrestler, but just being a fan of it.
So again, and this was back, because me and my dad, we bonded over a lot, but the one thing that we did bond over the most was probably wrestling. And there's a movie store next, or in our town next over. We would go rent. a movie every Saturday night, or we'd rent a Nintendo 64 game every night, or every Saturday night. And I remember looking at a VHS tape, and it was like, I think it was Best of Bash at the Beach. And I remember watching Billy Kidman fight Juventud Guerrera. I remember seeing the famous NWO formation with Hulk Hogan screwing
Mm-hmm.
over Randy Savage. Um, there was a match with Rey Mysterio Jr. and Psychosis, which those two are my favorites, especially Rey Mysterio. Um, I watched that match, and ever since then, I grew up watching and loving it. And my dad's favorite wrestler was Kevin Nash. And
Nice.
I actually, they actually, funny enough, they actually bought me a life size, like, it's not a slam buddy like the slam buddies that you see on social media. They're like this big, but like they bought me like a stuff size, like Kevin Nash doll that was like 3 feet tall.
Holy
And
cow.
I just beat the heck out of it. Like I would pretend like I was Rey Mysterio, and just like I would beat Kevin Nash up the whole time. And then Spider-Man jumped into the picture, and he was bigger than him, and so I would just fight Spider-Man. Yeah, so at a young age, about 5, that's when I started watching wrestling. And then ever since my dad passed away, it was 2001, so like that 2 year gap, I kind of didn't really watch wrestling. I didn't do much with wrestling or like watching it as a fan. And again, I'm very specific with my stories, and I told you this before we came on. I'm very specific with
Yep.
details. But I remember going to a basketball tournament, um, and somewhere in like northern Kentucky. And I remember going into one of the coaches' rooms because everyone was in there like eating pizza and just enjoying themselves. And one of them was watching Saturday Night Velocity, and this was back when they were
Oh
still running
wow.
like
Yeah.
Velocity and Heat.
Yep.
And I saw Rey Mysterio in a fatal 4 way on Velocity, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I remember him. And so I remember that being advertised and watched the match. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I saw the advertisement of WrestleMania 20. And so ever since I saw that, I started watching it again. And then I got into some TNA a little bit too. Like I was flipping through some channels one night, and I saw a 6-sided ring. I was like, oh man, this looks awesome. So I started watching TNA, and I watched like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Mojo, the whole
Yeah.
9 yards. And then like ever since then, I would just flip back and forth with TNA and WWE, and be invested in the stories, be invested with the characters that's on there. And what drew me in was Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles. So those were definitely two influences growing up, like where I'm at now, but just growing up wise, those were my bigger wrestling guys I looked up to.
Do you have a particular match from Ray's history that you remember that like stands out? I'm a big Ricky Steamboat fan, so of course I remember when Macho Man came off the top rope with the bell. Like that's the match I always remember from Rick. I mean, he had so many great matches, but that one just stands out in my mind as the one I will never forget. Do you have one like that for Ray?
It was definitely when Rey Mysterio won the heavyweight championship. And I think it was just because it was dedicated to Eddie. Because when Eddie passed away, I think it was 2005. I was like in 5th grade, 6th grade. I was crying. I was devastated because I liked Eddie a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted Ray to win that. And I remember hating Randy Orton for the longest time because I remember that storyline of Randy beating Ray for that spot, and then Teddy Long comes out. He's like, "Leia, I'm gonna add you to the match." And I loved Teddy ever since. Which, funny enough, I'm actually really good friends with him. But just that aspect of Rey Mysterio winning the heavyweight championship and dedicating it to his best friend and his, I guess, nephew or family member of some
Yeah,
sort, or Uncle Eddie. Yeah, Uncle Eddie. Yeah. Yeah. So that's sort of stuck in my mind a lot. So that was definitely a memorable moment of that time.
nice. So you're a fan of wrestling. You have some favorites. You're watching it. Now I know you went to college. You already mentioned you're going to chiropractic school and everything. Soon we'll have to call you Doctor Landon Hale.
Dr.
Uh,
Hale, yes.
soon everybody you will have to call this man a doctor because he earned the right to be called that. But now
Yes.
what got you to actually want to be a wrestler?
Funny story. So in June of 2018, so actually I'll back it up just a little bit more. So my area of Kentucky, there's only like maybe a handful of promotions that you can work for, but there's one promotion um, that one of my friends, his name's Adam Newsom. He wrestled for it's a promotion called Bluegrass Championship Wrestling. And I guess he was making a post one day on Facebook and he said, compare two wrestlers. And like you see like the tags and people like, oh, comment on it.
Yeah.
So I made a comment on it about two wrestlers and, he made his answer. And then I started asking more questions. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Like I have this one life to live. Why not see what it's about? So, excuse me, I shot him a message and I said, how did you get into the wrestling business? And then he explained everything to me. And so he told me, he said, what are you doing this weekend? And I was going to be at home. So I think it was July 1st. There was a wrestling ring that they put in one of my buddy's backyards. So I took, it was awesome. But I took my first ever back bump in that wrestling ring. And like it felt so nice. I knew I was sore the next day, but I just enjoyed that moment of taking that first bump. I was like, oh, this hurts like hell, but I love it. And I had like a mock match, but it wasn't more of just training. It was more of just like goofing off, seeing what you can do, but
Mm-hmm.
safely, just like little things. And then so Adam, I was talking to him about it, and he was like, if you really want good foundational training, go to St. Paul, Virginia. There's a guy by the name of Mike Scarberry, who goes by in the wrestling world as either Mike Sampson or he goes under the hood as Iron Cross.
Okay.
And he's wrestled on WWF. He's wrestled against like the Steiner brothers. He's wrestled against the Harts. And he was more of like a mid carder, but he's really like old school foundation. And so I ended up going along with my cousin. We went and had our first training session under him. Took a few back bumps, hip tosses, like the basic drills that we would go through.
Yeah.
And then I guess like after one more training session later, there was a Bluegrass Championship Wrestling showing, which was on August 4th. And they were doing it for the vacant heavyweight championship. And one of the promoter, or I guess the promoter's wife, was asking me if I was wanting to be a ref, and I didn't. And I was like, I wasn't comfortable doing it. And it was just like, everyone has to pay their dues, and I totally get that. But I was just so disappointed. And one of my buddies, JT Walker, he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, how much training do you have?" I was like, "Just 2 days worth." And he's like, "Okay, well, let's get you in the ring and see, like, get you to train and see what goes on." So him and my other buddy, Eric Porter, they were like seeing how I could move in the ring and stuff like that. And just for what I did, they were sort of surprised by how quickly I picked up on wrestling, just because I guess probably beating up Kevin Nash and Spider-Man when I was like 5 or 6 years old. but but it was but I guess all of that paid off, and I ended up having my first match with only 2 training sessions. Gave like the worst of everything. I mean, it was a good match for what it was. I won. It was against a guy named Medic X. He was a guy under the hood, but it was a good match for what it was. And then I ended up losing the next round to Eric Porter. Um, but yeah, and it was just that experience on itself. And so I kept going back to Virginia, which was like an hour and a half drive for me. And just I kept training like at least once a week. I had my second match, won my first ever Rumble that I was in, and I ended up fighting for the heavyweight championship on the third show. And so I ended up losing, unfortunately. Um, and then so I came down to Georgia because I'm in chiropractic school, as you know. When I came down here, I wanted to see what it was like to juggle school and to find a wrestling place. And I know that there's so many different schools down in Georgia, like A.R. Fox's school, Nightmare
Mm-hmm.
Factory, what used to be One Fall. There's so many that I can name off. And then I was looking into APCW, All Pro Championship Wrestling. That's under Robert Gibson. And I messaged their Facebook page. And they said, yeah, just come on in and we'll see what's going on. And then so I started training with him in October of 2018 at Robert's school, and I would only go like once every 2 or 3 weeks, just because like the first quarter that we're there, it's a heavy class load just to see how well we can keep up with the program because they hit you with so much.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have any matches the rest of that year. I just did training. And then January of 2019, I went to their first ever APCW show, and I was pretty much security, just taking up the picking up whatever gimmicks they threw down on the ground, like their jackets or whatnot. And after the first match, Robert was asking where I was because there's like a curtain behind where we were at. And someone texted me like, "Hey, Robert's looking for you." So I went to the back, and they were like, "Get your stuff on. You're getting ready to go on." And I was in the semi-main event. I filled in for someone, and I was in a tag team championship match. Unfortunately, I lost. And then the next month, I actually had the chance to fight again for the tag team championship. What's funny enough is that the opponent that I went up against, his partner, I think there's something that happened with him and his family, or some sort of a family event that went on. He wasn't there. My partner had the flu. He didn't show up, so we had a singles match for the tag team championship. And so we
Nice.
had our match. I lost, and I went to the back, and I cried. It was that moment that this is something that I can do for the rest of my life if I wanted to, or at least for like most of my career. Robert came to the back, he gave me a hug, and he was so proud of me. And then ever since then, it's just been different accolades and different like stepping stones in my life that I would never thought I would achieve. Like after wrestling under APCW for only 10 months, I won my first ever belt. It was the heavyweight championship belt for APCW. And then I won it or lost it in February before COVID hit. And then since it's been and since COVID sort of ruined everything, the title ended up being vacant because we didn't start running until January of this year. I
Okay.
won it back, and then I lost it back in May. So I'm a two-time champion, and there's a promotion out in South Carolina called Pro Wrestling Union, and I'm their current heavyweight champion.
Just recently beating Randy Wyatt. No,
Randy Wayne.
Wayne. I knew it was a W. Randy Wayne,
Started with a W.
I apologize, sir. Do not come beat me up. But man, that's crazy. That's crazy that within like your first 6 or 7 months of getting into wrestling, they're just throwing you in the ring. They're throwing you into championship matches. You're going up for titles. I mean, it definitely has to help fuel that love for what you're doing, being given those opportunities so quick.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to say the least. And, like I'm a firm believer in God and what he has in store for me. And whenever I first started out, like after high school, my actual plan, I thought I was going to play college basketball at a big school, probably play at like a pro level of basketball. I wanted to be like a physical therapist. And then things just turn out in a different route that I did not expect to go down. So I went from wanting to play basketball and be a physical therapist to now I'm in chiropractic school and a professional wrestler. So things work out the way that it has, and I couldn't be happier, more blessed.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you mentioned Robert Gibson, and if you don't know who Robert Gibson is, anybody watching this, I don't know what to tell you. Member of the Rock and Roll Express. What can you pinpoint? Can you pinpoint? Is there one thing, and I'm sure there's not just one thing, but is there one thing that you really took away from the training from him that has helped you along the way? And also, what is it like to be trained by a legend in the wrestling industry like Robert Gibson?
Yeah, Robert, so the thing with him is that everyone like everything with wrestling nowadays, it's so fast paced. It's kind of like some people they're very old school, other people they do a lot of flips. I'm kind of like everything. I know it sounds weird to
You
say.
got
I
that
don't mean,
hybrid. You do a little bit of everything.
yeah, like if you were to look at me and say, "Hey, Landon, I don't want to do any high flying stuff," like I want you to be as technical as you can be in the ring, and I will be very grounded. You will not see my feet leave the mat. Like I can do anything, or if you want me to try to balance myself on the top rope and the floor is lava or the mat's lava, we can try something. But with Robert though, like he lets us explore who we are as characters. Definitely footwork with him and understanding how the ring is. So like the ring is like our home. We have to understand our spacing and our timing, how we interact with wrestlers, how we interact with the fans, because everyone nowadays, they just worry about how they, like, I guess how they perform in the ring versus like we want everyone, like, cause I want everyone to have a wonderful time when it's there, not just okay, we gotta get here to there. So that's
It's
just
still a
that's
show. You're still putting on a show.
absolutely. And so I'm really excited that I actually went to Robert. I know, and I mean, not knocking on any other guys, because every other training place has their training and their ways of training, and that's awesome in their way, because there's still more for me to grow even for myself, especially because I'm only 3 years in. With Robert, it's he's a very old school mentality of like
Mm-hmm.
understanding how the business works, making sure that whenever you're in the ring, slow things down, let everything marinate, understand how things are. So that's definitely a key takeaway of that. And just being trained by Robert, I know as you see on like NWA or any promos that they cut, Ricky's more of the talker. Robert's like, hey, let's get to the back. Let's get ready for a match.
Yep.
But when you get him by yourself, whenever you get him by himself, he is such a genuine guy. I love that man. Like he's literally my wrestling dad, and I'm very thankful for him, just because like we went on an emotional roller coaster of like teaching me the first things, like how to do certain things, and then unfortunately his school closed, and this was I think like the last week of May, because we were trying to find other buildings to rent out of, and unfortunately it was too high for us to find a place. So we're sort of like low key right now, not running any training sessions like school, or not school, but like show wise we're running them. But he gave me his Hall of Fame ring, and so like we took a picture. He's like, hey kid, put this on real quick, smiled with it, and then like he looked at me and was just like, don't forget about me when you're famous. And then like I started crying, just because I'm a very emotional person, because like I beat myself up so much all the time with life and just school, and like training and wrestling shows. And he came over, he gave me a big hug. He's like, I love you, you're doing great. So he's a hell of a guy, and I love that man to death. Robert Gibson is the man.
That's
He really
awesome.
is.
Now you got Action Futures coming up
Mm-hmm.
soon. Now, before a couple of weeks ago, or leading up to it, I know you mentioned that Robert School had been closed down, but you've been doing some training with a gentleman that a lot of people that have wrestled in Action, that wrestle in Georgia, that wrestle in Florida, have come into contact with. Probably one of the top trainers and a pretty damn spectacular wrestler, AR Fox.
Yes.
In your brief, training with him, what has what has he shown you a different side of wrestling than what Robert kind of showed you?
Well, obviously Robert's very old school with his wrestling. With AR Fox, everything I wouldn't say new school, but just because he still has some kind of old school mentality, but it's still the point of getting your cardio up, understanding how the drills work, like so wait, because practice is perfect. And like whenever I first came in, he was like, "Yeah, man, just come in anytime you want to." Like he's such a humble dude, and he's a great guy. Training with him and a lot of the other guys that he trains, like we get in there, and he actually has a 20 by 20 wrestling ring. So the cardio, I needed it. So he definitely run my butt off for sure. And yeah, it's a lot of cardio, and it's a lot of like we try out different moves that we can make sure that it's safe for us in the ring. But yeah, he's definitely a top notch dude, and yeah, he's great. I'm very thankful for him, because I know that the last month in July, I haven't had any wrestling matches, but I needed to get in it because I'm going to be in with Whisper and Eli Knight, and I know they are fast cats and they're awesome, and I've seen their work, and they're going to be awesome. There's going to be really tough competition coming up this Saturday. So I needed to get my cardio back in, so I think I'm up there. So thank you to AR Fox, shout out to him.
Nice. We're going to talk about futures in 1 second. I have one question that I'm going to jump back to, and it's what was worse when you first got into the ring, going off the ropes for the first time, or having your back hit the mat the first time?
Probably my back hitting the mat for sure. because the first time I hit the mat, and this was back when I did that backyard wrestling, brother. When I was in, I took my first few back bumps, and that whole day, my buddy was like, "Hey, you're gonna be sore, so just a heads up." And so, like the next day, I woke up, and like my neck was still like I couldn't move it at all. I was waking up, and I felt like Frankenstein just walking. I would, and like I remember specifically that next day I was doing chest, and baby, like I was like crawling under the bench as if I was like Shaquille O'Neal falling on the ground. I was like
Oh,
falling all in one
geez.
motion, and I was like taking my time. It was the slowest workout of my entire day just because I was so sore. So definitely the bumps were worse. I wouldn't mind hitting the ropes. I could hit those any time of day, but the bumps at first was probably the worst.
Now, is that what kind of got you into chiropractic school? Like, I need to, this is not good for me, and I know that. So let me figure out how I can help fix myself.
Oh my goodness. No. So I mean, PT, physical therapists, they like with what they do, it's amazing. I'm not knocking on it one bit. Like they take care of so many people that's bringing back their range of motion, their quality of life, and I love every bit of what they do. Just the settings that I was in, even though I was, so I did my internship. I graduated from Morehead State University with my bachelor's in exercise science in 2017. So during that semester, we did rotations with physical therapy because that's originally what I started off doing. And I guess it wasn't as fun for me because a lot of the stuff just felt repetitive and not really like enjoy. Like I didn't really enjoy it, and that's not knocking on PT. It's just some people with that lifestyle because there's other settings too that they make it more enjoyable. But just that setting that I was in, it
Yeah.
really didn't catch my attention as much. So I've always had low back problems, and one day I was working out, and for some reason my right low back just started giving out. I went to the chiropractor that was in that area, and they fixed me up so well. I was getting treated like once a week. It was so nice, and then I was like, you know what? Like I want to look into it a little bit more. And I have a cousin that lives in Michigan, and he graduated from Life University, which is in Georgia, where I'm at right now, and he was telling me about the chiropractic program and like what it does and how it's different from PT. And so I looked into it a little bit more, and then I finally made the move. And it was a big scare for me as well, but just because I've only known because Morehead State's in Eastern Kentucky as well. It's about an hour
Mhm.
and a half from my house. So I'm have never left Eastern Kentucky. So moving down to Marietta, Georgia has definitely been like a culture shock in a sense, but it was definitely so that's how I technically got into chiropractic school. And so I started in October of 2018, and I'll graduate in March of 2022. So next year.
Nice. Nice. And again,
Cracking backs by day and cracking backs by day and breaking backs by night, brother.
right there you, and remember, everybody, Dr. Hale, Dr. Hale after next year. Okay.
Doctor.
So this weekend is a big weekend for a lot of people. It's SCI weekend in Chattanooga. Everything's running out of TWE. Friday, we're not talking about it. Maybe I'll get your thoughts on who you think is going to win the SCI tournament. But Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, you go watch it on IWTV Live. It is the Action Futures Showcase. 9 great people. And again, we said it earlier, Hardway Heater, feel better. I hope you get better quick so you can get back in the ring and start kicking ass again. Now, your 3-way match is a very interesting one. We talked about it in our first hour, and no pressure on you. All 3 of us, and it had nothing to do with the fact that you were going to be on tonight, but all 3 of us picked you to come out the victor of that threesome. You versus the Whisper versus Eli Knight. What's your mindset going into that first round matchup against those 2 gentlemen? And I think you said it before we even came live. It's going to be like a pinball machine of people going everywhere and going 900 miles an hour.
Yeah, I do a lot of like anytime I know I have a match coming up and I don't know who that person is, I always like to study their film. I like to see what I'm going up against. I've seen Eli Knight wrestle for Action before. I've seen him have a match against Kevin Ryan. I seen him in a tag team match on there too, and I know that cat can go. And I mean, and I've seen a lot of his stuff from like Paradigm and a bunch of other wrestling promotions that I've seen him in. But yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that like he can surprise you out of nowhere. And I think that's sort of the same thing with Whisper, because I haven't heard that name until I started YouTubing him, and I've watched a lot of his stuff with Shikara out
Yep.
of like
Yep.
Shikara.
Out of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he did some stuff with Beyond, and I've seen a lot of his stuff, and he's very high flying, action packed. So I think this will be very interesting to say the least. All three. I mean, again, like I'm more of a mesh of everything, but just like three high flyers getting into it. I think this will be a very interesting night, but I'm ready for anything coming my way.
Are you worried about either one more than the other?
Not really, because I see everyone as equals. And so like obviously there's going to be some sort of strategy plan going into this, and how everything's going to plan, like everything's going to work out. I just know with Whisper, I'm not for sure like how tall or how much they weigh. I just know that they're high flyers, and that what they do with their craft is awesome. I just know that seeing those two in the ring, it's not really one teaming up with another, one doing this with another. Is more of just like I see them as equal. So it's I guess going for their necks, because I'm in chiropractic school to do.
Yeah. Now the rest of the the rest of it, and everybody, we talked about the Landon loves jokes. So if you didn't get it, rewind it back and come on, get with the program.
Yes.
The rest of the field, do you get past your first round? You have the other two first rounds going with some heavy hitters, some really great wrestlers. Who are the other two competitors that you yourself would want to be up against in the final?
Now you're putting me on the spot.
Of course.
To be honest, I was, and this is all honesty. I was actually, like, before he got injured, I was gonna say Hardway Heater, because I've seen a lot of his stuff. And Hardway, if you're seeing this, brother, I've been saying prayers for you, man. I hope everything goes well, and I wish you a full recovery, so that way we can be able to get in the ring together. But for the other two, I would definitely say it's hard. I've seen a little bit of a few of the people. I definitely say Billy Starks. I know that she's been making a lot of noise, and it's well deserved that she is in this. And then I've also seen Robert Martyr do a lot of hard hitting, heavy hitting stuff, and he's a very technical dude. And I think getting in the ring with him it would kind of like switch up the momentum a little bit, just because if I was to go into the final round after defeating all two other high flyers, and then you have like Billy, what she does, and then you have Robert, which he's very technical and hard hitting. That's gonna like switch up the style a little bit. But I think coming out of the first round out of those triple threats, and this is no disrespect to any of the other people, but definitely Billy Starks and Robert Martyr, I think.
Nice. Now, odd question.
You're
not you don't get past the first round. Who do you want to see win, or who will you be rooting for in that final match?
I would definitely say,
if you don't get there,
I will say I know that I think with Billy, I think what she does is great, but I would say Robert, and I only say that because he went up against Brogan Finley in a very hard hitting bout, and that does earn a lot of damn respect, just because he mentioned this in like one of the questions that was asked about being in the futures, but he not only got in the tournament, he won to be in the tournament. Yep. And I know that he's worked his butt off. I've seen some of his stuff. So if I somehow didn't make it into the final round to win it all, I think he would definitely be the one for sure. But I mean, anybody like any of the eight, like I think they all have a chance. And this isn't me like knocking on anybody, because I know Chase is good, Hoodfoot, Ron Bass Jr. I know all those guys are wonderful people. I'm just picking out certain like looking into it from the inside out, because I know that Robert worked his ass off just to get where he's at. So I think he's hungry for it as well. So I think he would win it if I was not to be in it.
Definitely. I mean, he was the only person that had to fight his way into the tournament to get into the futures tournament. So yeah, that he's got a little. We always talk about chips on shoulders. He's definitely got a chip on his shoulder coming into this tournament.
Yeah, and I know that he's very hard hitting. He's very technical, and I know that he's got so much grit coming into it, and he's not going to hold back. So I know that if I was to make it in the finals with him, if we were to be in that scenario, I know that he's going to give it all he's got. He's not going to let the gas off the pedal, and so I think that's everybody as well. But I'm just saying with him, it's just that extra motivation that I had to win in order to be in this tournament. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to win the tournament. So
Yeah, you really. I mean, we talked about it when we were kind of making our predictions and going through the matches. You you can't go wrong with whoever is going to win the three first rounds and whoever's going to win, because it's going to be deserved no matter what. Now, you win the futures tournament. What does that mean to you personally? You know, just being, 3 years into your professional wrestling career.
the hard work is paid off. I mean, it's as simple as that. I beat myself up so many like I beat myself up all the time, and it's just because I want to work, like to wrestle with the best. I want to be up at that top tier of my life. But again, I need to realize I'm in this business now today, next 3 years. There's so many other people that's been in this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and they're still climbing, or they've already made it there. And I feel like with me, I've always tried to rush things, and I feel like enjoying the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey for me. And
Mm-hmm.
if I was to win, this would be such an honor. And just the fact that I've worked my ass off for this moment. Because I was talking to Scott Hensley when he was giving me those questions. And then he was like, hey, I want to give you a little bit of motivation. There's like 4 or 5 people that asked who you were, and this is your time to shine. And same thing with Matt. And I'm very thankful for Matt for this opportunity. And he was telling me about that as well. He said, yeah, like there's so many people that asked about who you were. Like you're the most talked about person, it's because they don't know who you are. And I'm ready to show them who Landon Hale is. And I'm ready for that moment. And the fact that if I win the future showcase, it would be an honor, just because. And I'll backtrack to last year. I remember talking to one of my buddies, and he was telling me about the Scenic City Invitational. And again, like this is sort of being new to the independent scene, knowing tournaments, knowing promotions. And he was telling me at the Scenic City Invitational in Chattanooga, obviously, it's one of the if not the top tournament that you can be in the southeast at least. And and so like I was getting more info on it and just see how it was. And like I would watch so many, like I just got an IWTV app. Like I got myself a personal account just to see the Scenic City Invitational matches, to see the future showcase stuff, and just the people that's in it and the people that comes for it. It's like they travel from all over,
Yep.
and there's so many people that watch on IWTV too. And I feel like this would help build my platform up just a little bit. And and also, to if you win this as well, you get into the Scenic City next year. And I think that would be such a huge honor. And just seeing the people that has came out of Scenic City, like Leo Rush, Matt Riddle, Moose, names go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Now Anthony Henry, now he's known as Asher Hale on that's it's not my cousin, by the way, on NXT. um, but just seeing that much talent come out of the Scenic City Invitational and the Future Showcase, and to win that as such just 3 years in, it's more than an honor, to say the least. And I think it would definitely be a huge accomplishment in my wrestling career for sure.
Nice. And you mentioned, the what comes next after you win, and Christopher, please, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I read somewhere that the winner of the Futures Showcase is in the Scramble match night 2 for SCI.
Mm-hmm.
So if you win, you got double duty that day, my friend.
I do. But here's the thing about me. You remember that question when you said who was young, like who was young Landon, and so much energy. I have energy for days. Like you cannot tire me out. I mean, like obviously I had to get back in the ring and like get back in cardio shape, but just when it comes to like being in that ring, it's an addiction and it's a great addiction. And I know that being in with the other five competitors, and I know that they're great with what they do, but they'll have to watch out if I make it that far.
And
That's all I
and
gotta
if you
say.
make it that far, I think I saw somewhere on your Twitter that you've been wanting to get a match with Mr. Bobby Flacco.
I do.
So,
Ayo.
heyo, we talked about we love him. So yeah, that would be double duty on that Saturday. We wish you the best. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Now, I want to get I want to get your opinion on who you think is going to win. Oh, Christopher. Okay, so we got a raid. Ref Clark Feldman, 14 people. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. I'm sorry about the little hesitation there. I got the voice in my ear, Mr. Christopher, telling me what's going on. Ref Clark Feldman, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Everybody in, welcome. I'm the captain. This is Landon Hale. We're talking about SCI weekend. We just talked about futures. We got to know him. Now we're going to get his opinion on who he thinks is going to win the SCI tournament. There's a lot of names in there. So
There's
who are you going for?
oh man, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of technical, there's a lot of high flying, there's a lot of hard hitting, there's a lot of all the above. And it's so hard to pinpoint who I'm going to put as the winner. I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of stuff from the 2019 Scenic City, and I remember seeing Daniel Makabe. He won that, and I remember seeing AC Mac tap out to him. And this was because I saw that he had an injury against Slim J in the I think it was like in the second round. I think it was Slim J, but he had a match with him in the second round, and so he had an injury, so he wasn't even out there that whole match. And Daniel came out, took advantage, and won. Which again, he's a hell of a technical. He's a hell of a wrestler in general.
Yeah.
Like that's another guy on my list that I'd like to wrestle. But I think coming out of that tournament, I think AC Mac's gonna get the win that he actually deserves. I've seen his works. I saw his work the first time that I was down in Georgia. I saw him at Southern Honor, and then I heard that he was such a good wrestler. I've seen a lot of his stuff, and just seeing him get so close, but yet had that stripped away right at like the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's coming. I think he's coming for the throat for everyone that comes in his way. So I got AC Mac winning it.
Nice. I'm sure
Yeah.
AC appreciates that. I think Christopher picked AC to win in our little preview that we had before you came on. I forget. I don't he did. He just confirmed. I got the confirmation. Christopher did choose AC Mac to win. So it's
Who's
gonna be a
yours?
fun weekend. Me, I chose Chase Holiday.
Chase Holiday's in the futures.
Oh, I'm an idiot and completely got my tournaments
Good night,
messed up.
guys.
And good night, fellas. Okay, we'll see ya.
Take it
And
away.
man, who did I? Oh man, it literally was like an hour ago, and I'm already forgetting. Alex Kane
Alex Kane. I
is my
love
pick.
Alex. He was definitely like I have AC. I have Alex Kane. I have Daniel Garcia, and then who's the last one? Shoot, Cabana Man Dan.
I mean, you can't go wrong. You literally can't go wrong with any pick or anyone that you root for in the entire SCI because they're all great. They all deserve it. And every single match that happens is going to be a great match.
Absolutely. And like I saw the card and it's so stacked and I'm so excited. And I've heard so many good things about not just the Scenic City like tournament or the futures tournament, just people coming together and just enjoying themselves. That's the one thing that excuse me, that I'm so excited about, is just to meet everybody and just to see the atmosphere and just enjoy myself.
Yeah, I'm definitely this will since I live in Pennsylvania, I'm far away from action and New South and a lot of the promotions that we talk to guys and gals from, and it's just it'll be nice to actually be down there live in person, not just seeing live these people wrestle, but actually being able to finally meet them in person and say, "Hey, it's nice to meet you."
It's
So I'm
awesome.
looking
Oh,
forward to it.
what part of Pennsylvania are you coming out of?
I live probably about a half hour south of Hershey Park. So
Okay.
it's central Pennsylvania.
Okay. I had family that used to live in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
I like to throw people off when I know a city rather than Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. So I'd
I
like to throw that out
believe
there.
Pottstown is east of me, closer to Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I believe. I've only
it
been in
is.
Pennsylvania for like, I don't know, I think October will be like 6 years.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm still relatively new. I still have no idea how to get around my town.
I feel that. I know exactly how it is. I use a GPS sometimes, and I've been here for almost 3 years, and I'm not even in the city of Atlanta. I'm just like on the outskirts, which is still like a pain just to like travel to different places. So I'm like, all right, Google, let's see where we're going today. So
Yep. I worked in Lancaster, PA, where all the Amish people live and everything for a
nice.
little while. And I would put my GPS on every day, same route to work every single day. But I would just put the GPS on just so I knew when I would get there or not.
Right. I feel
That's all
that.
I wanted to know. Am I going to get to work on time or not? Is there a crazy accident? But hey, living in the Northeast and living in New York and Connecticut before this, man, people in Pennsylvania complain about traffic. They have no flipping clue what traffic is. I will
Uh,
say that.
drive through Atlanta,
That
6 lanes of traffic on each side, and they don't know how to use blinkers. So welcome to my world.
yeah, that's what Chris said. I mean, I think even Jaden mentioned it when we talked to him last week about he gets in such a pissed off mood when he's got to drive through Atlanta to get to go to action that it just it just makes him so angry.
Everyone in Georgia. I mean, I'm not saying this about everyone in Georgia, but they cannot drive to save their life. And if snow falls, then good
Oh
luck because they don't know how to try. I mean, not, again, this isn't a bash on Georgia. It's a great area. Georgia's great. Atlanta's great. Just the traffic, people can't drive, so just gotta.
uh, I feel if any wet precipitation other than rain falls below like Virginia, I think people, it's like Armageddon. People freak out. They forget about it.
Exactly, I agree with you.
So we know that you have futures coming up. I want to shout out a couple other things that you have coming up as well. You have the Gold Rush, which is ACPW and Wrestle Force, coming up in August, correct?
Uh, it's PWU Gold Rush in South
PWU.
Carolina.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and I'll be defending the heavyweight championship against TJ Boss, who wrestles for PWX on their main roster, and he's also Wrestle Force's heavyweight champion. So it's title versus title on August
Nice,
14th. Yep,
nice. Then the Clash at Scenic City, which is for the Carter Hope Center versus, now is it TY now?
it's
He
it's
changed it
Ty.
to, okay,
Yep.
against TY.
Yeah, he's one of my brothers, but I mean, I think we'll definitely have a hard hit bout that day too. So that'll be a fun match.
Nice. And
And
then
and oh, I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say, funny enough, I just found out a few hours ago. I just found out
You wait, you
this.
have Christopher in your ear too?
Yeah, this just in. I actually found out I'm wrestling at PWX Pure against, funny enough, Jay Newman the
Oh,
next day, so that'll be a good match. I'm excited.
nice.
It'll be fun.
Nice. And then the last one I saw was All Star Wrestling, the beginning of September.
Yeah, All Star Wrestling at Graybill. No idea who I'm wrestling, but we'll have to see what the card folds. Maybe I'm going up against Alex Hammerstone. Who knows? Maybe I'm going up against Alex Kane. Maybe Bobby Flacco. That would be
Ooh.
nice. So
Anything else that you got on the horizon that you can clue us into where we can check you out?
Social media wise, is that what you're getting?
Wrestling wise.
Wrestling wise, I wrestle for so PWU is in Union, South Carolina. I'm actually doing their benefit show. I forgot the other promotion that runs with it, but they're out of Silva, North Carolina, and it's Shop for a Cop, and it's like a I think it's a donation of some sort, but it's a good benefit show, and it's in let's see, October 2nd. I wrestle for APCW. We haven't had shows recently, but when we do, it's every second Saturday. I'm just making my debut with PWX Pure out of Charlotte, North Carolina. All Star Wrestling at Gray Bell in Royston, Georgia. I sometimes wrestle for Lariato Pro Wrestling, which is Doc Gallows promotion, and they do stuff with Impact Plus. Um,
Cool.
Coastal Empire Wrestling, they are out of Savannah, Georgia, and they just started last year, and I will be wrestling on their 1 year anniversary, September 19th. I think it's on a Sunday at Coach's Corner.
Nice.
Um, I wrestle in Florida at Coastal Wrestling Federation in Milton, Florida. It's on the Panhandle. Um, and that's about it for like constant wrestling places that I'm at right now. But I mean, anywhere else that you can find me, I'll definitely give shouts on my socials and stuff like that. So
Nice. So future,
yes.
what are your personal goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's the next goal for you besides winning futures?
The next goal. So are we talking wrestling or are we talking just life in general or a little bit of both?
Let's go wrestling first. We're gonna step out of the ring in a second.
Okay. So wrestling wise, definitely just keep traveling, keep paying my dues, keep doing what I need to in order to stay afloat. I know that I'm doing well with myself for 3 years being in the business, and again, I'm very humbled, very blessed with all the opportunities head my way. In the next 5 years, I'm hoping that I can be able to wrestle for any promotion that wants to sign me, and if not that, at least like top independent wrestling promotions that wants to see my work and see what I can do and see what I can bring to the table. And I bring a mix array of, again, from technical to high flying, old school, strong style, you name it. And I'm literally there for anything. With that in mind, it's not so much, again, like I said earlier, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So anything that I do from now up until I make it to that point, even if it is 5 years, 10 years, next year, next month, I'm going to enjoy every bit of it until like once I get that signature, and then everything is going to be like I'm still working hard for it, but I'm still going to enjoy every single second of where I'm at now up until the future, regardless of how long my career goes. So as of right now, I will actually be moving to Massachusetts next year, and that's the life question that you're going to ask me later.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll be up there, and I'll be traveling the Northeast, understanding their type of wrestling because down south is more old school.
Mm-hmm.
Up north is more like I guess flashier. Understand some like understanding their style like in the Northeast and what they're looking for. So it'll definitely be a good mix. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the future holds for me and see where wrestling takes me.
Nice. So outside of the ring, we know that you're in school. We know you're going to be a doctor. We know you're going to help people with back problems. Now, I saw some video that I truly liked, and it was you playing the piano and singing. So, is that something that you enjoy doing outside of the ring?
Yes. So after my dad passed away, my mom put me into piano lessons. And I was taught how to play piano for 10 years classically, and then understanding how music works and stuff like that. Like I would train myself how to play different songs ever since then. Singing started around the same time. I didn't have the best voice growing up just because like trying to sing higher pitched songs when you're little and they're like, oh, you're doing great, sweetie. And they're like,
Yeah.
he's shitting the bed. but, but I was good for what it was. I remember doing a talent show. And this was when I was the new kid. Like I moved different like schools, like different high schools. And I remember my senior year, I transferred or I transferred to their school. I was the new kid, and I remember playing the piano and singing, and everyone was thrown off by how well I could sing. And funny enough, I don't think you have this in your notes. I actually won a scholarship to. Oh, he's got it here. I won a scholarship to. So I actually started off at a community college before I went to Morehead State. But whenever I went to community college, they had a singing program, and if you were part of their singing group, they paid for your school. So I was fortunate enough to get my school paid for because of singing. So I was
Nice.
trained since I was little, but my voice actually got a lot better when I'm older. So I'm very like bass. My country music is my jam when it comes to singing.
Nice. Other than that, what are your other interests when you're not wrestling, you're not in school? What else do you like to do for hobbies?
Disc golf. I actually picked up on it 2 years ago.
Man, I
Uh,
tell you, I I never even heard of disc golf till I came to Pennsylvania and like randomly was at a park and was like, what the hell is this contraption here? And my girlfriend at the time, she told me what it was, and I was like, "Are you serious? Like, really? That's you? Okay,
yep.
that cool."
You just gotta send it, bro.
It's
Yeah,
crazy, man. I've seen people play. It's insane.
it's so much fun. I remember, so like with school, we go off of quarters rather than semesters. So quarters is like 11 weeks of school, and then so with spring and fall you get a like 1 week break, and then with summer and winter you get a 3 week break.
Okay.
So after my first quarter of classes ever, the next quarter, I have a friend that was like, "Hey, like let's go play some disc golf." I'm like, "Never played it before," so I played it. And I'm like, "This is a hell of a lot easier than just regular golf." I suck at regular golf. Top golf is the worst. I was so close to beat my friend, and I ended up losing to him by 1 point. But yeah, throwing a disc is way easier than swinging a ball. But I mean, that's just me. But yeah, I love disc golf. I love hitting the weight room as much as I can. It's a good stress reliever, especially after studying for so many tests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else? Basketball. Anytime that I get the chance to get into a basketball court, I'll definitely have the chance to, you know, throw up some shots, play one on one, play whatever. That's about it. I mean, like I'm pretty much a chill person as of now. Like all me and my fiance do, we just hang around the house. We'll go to school. We'll come back. I may go play disc golf, or I'll go work out or go train. Like I don't really live like a like lifestyle. I'm just like I'm very chill, and so I like it like that. So it's really nice.
Nice. Okay, so if you're a fan, or if you've watched the Bald Monkeys podcast before, you've watched the stack, you know that lately we have been doing the what we term the worst segment of the show, which is the lightning round. Since this is my show, I'm gonna change it up a little bit. We don't have any fancy graphics or theme songs or anything like that yet. But Landon, would you like to be the first contestant on the Wrestlers Feud?
Yes, I would. It would be an honor. I don't know what to expect, but hit me with it.
So, I'm sure you've heard of Family Feud before.
I love Family Feud.
They give you a question. You got a chance. You got three chances. You get three X's to get as many points as you can for whatever the stupid question is.
Oh God. Okay.
So, trying to come up with something fun, I was like, oh, I think this will be a cool little addition. So for the first ever round of the Wrestlers Feud, not me, somebody interviewed 100 people. The top.
I'm gonna mess this up. So
let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The top 6 answers are on the board wherever that board is.
You need that Steve Harvey mustache.
Right? Exactly. The question: is name something people think is fake in wrestling.
I'm tapping the buzzer as if it was
You got it.
blood.
Blood. Number one answer, 41 people. Good job.
Jeez.
Next.
Relationships.
Oh. One strike.
Okay.
You got two left.
All right, what's fake? That it actually hurts.
I will give you that one and say that goes under injuries. Injuries.
Yes.
That
okay.
was number 5. 3 people. Continue on, sir.
Okay. The storylines.
God,
I suck at this.
2 strikes. You have 1 left, my friend. 1 left. You currently have 44 points.
Oh man. That beat my high record for basketball points in a high school game. Oh man. What's oh shoot. Oh man. Oh.
Still 4 answers on the board.
The how the wrestlers are in real life, like their personas. If that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean?
I will give you that one for 7 points. Names. Their names are fake.
Yes.
I will give you that. So what are we at? Can I even add 51 points? You still have 1 X remaining. Continue on. 3 answers still on the board.
The weapons, they don't hurt. The weapons, I don't know. Yeah, I had a feeling.
3 X's. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm gonna see if we can have a overall point winner. So let's see. With this question, name something people think is fake in wrestling. Landon Hale, you amassed, what did I say? 51 points, 41, 7, 51 points. So number 1 on the board was blood. Number 2, the actual wrestling.
Oh.
Number 3, their bodies. I steroids. I guess that's what they were thinking.
I guess, yeah.
Their names, you said. Injuries, we gave you. The last one on the board, tans, fake tans.
That is a good pull. My tan's natural. I have some Native American blood in me. I'm a little bit Cherokee, so I don't have to worry about the fake tans. But wrestling is real to me, damn it.
Exactly. Well, Landon, thank you for being the first contestant on the Wrestlers Feud. Like I said, I'm going to figure out some sort of prize for whoever gets the most points amassed throughout however long we do this. But thank you for being our first Wrestlers Feud contestant.
It was an honor. I sucked at it, but I mean, I got 51 points. So.
Hey, you got blood. And when I first looked at this, I was like, how? I mean, and now given I've watched wrestling for a long time, but like, how do you fake blood? Like, what do you think? They just like cut the ketchup packet and like, right. No, come on, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, so we're in the fun part of the interview now. We did the Wrestlers Feud. Thank you. Our typical question, one we ask everybody, and it has to do with Oreo cookies.
Okay.
Are you on team single stuff, the regular classic Oreo cookie, or team double stuff?
Ooh, you got me on that one, but double the fun. I'm a double stuff dude.
That is the correct answer.
And I can also add more because I know we're more like the filling type of person. So I'm sure people's done this before. This isn't any science joke or like a science, whatever. It's not rocket science, but what I usually do is I would remove one side of the cookie so that way the the filling is attached to the other side.
Hmm.
Same thing with the other one. Bring it together, quadruple stuffed. You're welcome. Because double and double.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because
I'm wondering in my head if that's bigger, smaller, the same as like what is it, the mega stuff? I think that's the biggest
yeah,
one they have. I wonder where that would rank.
yeah, I have no
I
idea,
don't
but
know.
I will say, and this is a random fact about me, and this is the first time I've ever said this on a podcast, so whatever.
Exclusive.
But exclusive, breaking news.
Breaking news. We have an exclusive from Landon Hale.
He's going to tell us about double stuffed Oreos and what they actually do. Tell us, Landon. And then they're waiting for like a good 10 seconds. I'm
Yep.
here. Uh, but what I did as a kid one time, because I like the stuff in the middle, I'm so weird for saying this. I would cut out, like I would like get a knife and I would like cut out the stuff and I would like stack like multiples on top of each other. And that's a game changer if you're that type of weirdo like I was when I was a kid. But it was good. Too much filling, but it was great.
No, no, not a weirdo at all. Not a weird. Now, if you were a thin Oreo person, then
Then
that gets into weirdo category.
you need to
Psychopath.
check into check into a mental
Yeah,
hospital.
bordering psychopath at that point.
I will be a doctor, so I will check your I will check your mental status.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Christopher, do we have any questions from the chat? And my next question is, are you going to actually say them so that Landon and everybody can hear you? Or am I going to have to?
I got it.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
The world can hear the voice in the sky.
Good. Yes. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome, sir. Thank you.
So, first of all, Landon, good answer. You can stay for saying double stuff. We appreciate that.
Yes. I'm not a psycho.
Had a couple of questions in the chat, but I feel like you guys kind of went over them, but I am going to point them out. So, your lieutenant, I should say, Lieutenant Chuck
Thank
was
you.
here, and he just wanted to know how excited Landon was for his first Scenic City Invitational, which you guys kind of touched on. But Landon, is there any more that you want to talk about when it comes to how excited you really are for this first one?
With the first one, I will say again, and talk about Ty because that's one of my good buddies, Tyler. He was actually the one that was telling me about the Scenic City, and I didn't really come into grasp of how big of the tournament this is. And again, this is just me getting new to the independent scene, understanding different promotions and what they run and how big they are. And I realized that the Scenic City Invitational is such an honorary like anniversary that everyone comes in, and it's not just about the wrestlers as well, but it's the community, the wrestling community. People come together and they enjoy a hell of a time with the weekend. And being in the future showcase, and being and like, because this is my first time ever not only being in the futures but first time seeing the actual Scenic City Invitational. I'm actually really excited to see what this weekend holds for me. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited to meet new people, get to take pics with Val Pancakes. It's gonna be amazing. So so I'm excited to see what Scenic City holds for me this weekend. So I'm really excited.
And then we had Vic Sage in the chat, and he talked about your biggest competition, but I think you kind of touched on that with just the competition of the entire tournament. But his favorite question, which he always brings up, which we do love, is whose gear do you covet, if anyone?
Who makes my gear? The gear that, or the person that made my gear, she goes by the name of Gear Gal. So I actually had a first set of gear. It was made by Stacy Toko. I can't pronounce her last name. It's like Toko or Taco. It's like Tocco. She made my first set of gear when I first. And also, this can go back to because I know Chuck was wanting to talk about the Georgia Avengers, so that could be a question that he can bring up. But before I was the Georgia Avenger, I had like a regular pair of just black spandex that she made, and then I wanted to get into like the superhero vibe, like a real life superhero vibe, and that's the kind of persona that I try to go off of. But she was the one that made my my first set of gear. And if you haven't seen pictures of it, I'll probably, like, depending on how the tournament goes, and if I make it to the scramble or to the finals, I may bring those out just to show you guys what it was. But the gear that I wear now, it's a lady by the name of Gear Gal, and I think a few people run that, and they did a great job with my stitching, and so shout out to Gear Gal for making my gear right now. So.
And then, is there anybody out there in the wrestling world that you go, man, that guy's got some really cool gear. I wish I had gear like that.
Oh, that's a good one. There's a guy by the name of Jake Tucker, and he goes by the Mother Lover Jake Tucker. Look him up. He's a good he's got a good character, good wrestling work. He actually trains down in Florida with Natalia and Tyson Kidd. But I've seen his gear, and it stands out to me. I don't know what it is, but just seeing his gear a little bit. And I guess just like exotic gear in general, I like Trevor Eon's gear. Like it suits his character well.
He's got
and
cool
just the
stuff.
time. Yeah, and the time that he put into making his character the way that he is, like, I love his gear. So I'd say those two as of right now. Like, I really don't think about just like gears in general, but like if I didn't pick any from the indies, probably those two guys. But yeah, I like their styles and like what they're going for.
And then I'm going to ask one from myself. It's a question that sometimes pops up in the chat. This will be our last question from the chat. If you could fight any historical character in history, who would it be?
Adolf Hitler, that son of a bitch. Oh, is that who you're talking about? Or are we talking like
Sure.
actual wrestlers?
No,
no.
That's
That's
literally
exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nailed it.
Adolf Hitler. Yeah, Adolf Hitler for sure. And Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. But that's about it.
Handicap match. Nice.
yeah.
Handicap match. 3-on-1 handicap match. Death match.
Well, that's it from the chat. So back to you, Captain.
Sweet. So I got one more question, but before we leave, I just want you to touch on the Georgia Avenger really quick and like a quick synopsis of the storyline of what happened, what was going on there.
Okay, so there's a guy that I ran a feud with start of January. His name's Eric Adams, and I wrestled him the January. So out of the 11 months, because we didn't run in December, out of the 11 months that we wrestled at APCW, Robert's promotion, I wrestled him 9 of the 11 times. Yeah. So January, the tag team match. February, that was the singles match. March, didn't fight him. April, so he cheated to beat me, and I had enough of it. I called him out, and I said, I want to fight you again, one last time. And then he said, I'll up the ante. If you beat me, I will retire, and I will not come back from wrestling. However, if I beat you, you have to retire before your career even started. And I haven't even been a year in. Yep. I was like, all right, deal. So ref got distracted, low blow, 1, 2, 3, and I was out. So the Georgia Avenger was the Dusty Rhodes Midnight Rider gimmick, and so I was on Under the Hood, and I came out, and I love Teddy Long for this too, because he's like, that's not Landon, that's Spider-Man. And so I was under the hood for a few months, and my cousin, which I told you before the podcast, he's serving in the Marines right now. Shout out to Jesse, my cousin. But pretty much we did like a switcheroo. So like anytime that he would throw me out of the ring, my cousin and I, we would, switch to like, he's a little bit taller than me. So it was funny too, because it went from like high flying to he's like this big stocky dude that comes in like, bull. But yeah, so in August of 2019, he ended up, so in August, it was supposed to be career versus mask match. And if he won, then the Georgia Avenger would have to unmask himself. So my cousin was in the ring. He took the pin, he unmasked himself, and he was the Georgia Avenger. I came out from under the ring. I unmasked myself, and then Eric's like, "Oh, like you're really the Georgia Avenger." Like, no, you pinned the Georgia Avenger. That wasn't me. And he's like, "You know what? Fine." So we ended up, and then I ended up getting reinstated for that one match. And then if I was to win the next month, then I would get reinstated, and Eric would have to kiss Teddy Long's foot, which I do have a clip of, and I'll send it to you, and I'll show it to you whenever we're at Scenic City.
Oh
Um,
yes.
but yeah, so I ended up winning, and he kissed his foot, and I debuted my finally some colorful gear. So that's the story behind that.
That's so funny. Now, would you ever, I don't know how to pose a quick, would you ever only want to wrestle under a mask? And is it, how difficult or not difficult is it?
I don't mind it. I mean, I will say I like the idea of wearing a mask. Obviously, one of my heroes wears a mask. Just the thing with the Georgia Avenger mask is that it's covered, so it's glossed. So like you really can't see much. It's kind of like it's kind of like
Mm,
it's kind of like tinted like shades. Like you get in and you're like, oh, like at least my mask was like if I had the holes in them, I mean, I don't think it'd be a problem. Like I had no problem wrestling in it at all. I mean, you burn up a little bit, but that's normal from anything. But just the eye covers itself, it was kind of like that mask in general, I'd say probably not. If it was like a short match, probably, but if it was a like a normal mask without the eye covers, I could see it as a problem.
nice.
Yeah, and then after that match, which I'm sort of like leading on after the Georgia Avenger, so that next month I didn't have the match with Eric, so, but he ended up winning the heavyweight title after I made my return. He had the automatic rematch clause with one of my buddies that was trying to win it back. He didn't. And then November, that was when I won the heavyweight championship off of him. And so I ended the year being a heavyweight champion, which is funny enough because in February of 2020, I lost the belt to Randy Wayne, and then he had to vacate it because we haven't defended it in a while. And then I beat him for his title, and now we're doing a like we'll possibly do a rematch down the road. But yeah, so that's funny history right there too. So
A rematch against Randy.
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
for down the line because he still has a rematch clause. But
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Landon, thank you for being the first guest on the Captain's Quarters. I appreciate it. Everybody from the Bald Monkeys wishes you good luck this weekend at Futures. And when you win
yes, I
into the
like that.
scramble on later Saturday night, tell everybody, I know Chris has had it in the chat. Tell everybody where they can find you social media wise and everything so that they can go follow you right after this.
Okay. So my Twitter is at Hale Yeah 3. It's my last name, Hale Yeah 3. I like puns, of course. Uh, Facebook, Instagram, it's Landon Hale 3. I think that's yeah. I also oh yeah, I have a YouTube link. It's Landon Hale. It should be easy to follow. I think there's another Landon Hale, but you'll be able to see which one mine is. I have I have a lot of matches. Like I have a lot of matches from this year, from WrestleForce, from APCW, um, from PWU. My recent match with Randy Wayne, where I won the heavyweight championship, it's on there. And then I also have a highlight clip. So those three places, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, that's where I usually get on the most. But yeah, I have a fan page on Facebook as well. So go give that a like. And yeah, so those are the four places you can find me.
Nice. Christopher, do you have anything else? Sorry, voice in the sky. Do you have anything else before we leave for the night? And before I ask my last question.
No, just remember we're going to be live coming from the Scenic City from Chattanooga for the next 4 days. So keep an eye out on the Bald Monkeys streaming live from a bunch of different events going on this weekend. And again, thanks for joining us for the first Captain's Quarters.
Yes, thank you for
And
having me.
and since the last question on the monkeys on our monkey talk interviews was the Oreo cookie question, I had to come up with a signature question for the Captain's Quarters. And since everything's kind of pirate-y themed, I don't know why. It might be the beard. I'm not sure. I don't have a peg leg. I don't have a hook on my arm. Who knows? The final question is, if you had a choice to be on a pirate ship, which captain's ship would you choose? Would it be Captain Jack Sparrow, Captain Hook, or a lesser known captain, but I love this guy from a great movie, One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies?
For some reason, I was going to say Captain Crunch.
That would have been awesome.
Oops, all berries, Captain Crunch, brother. Definitely Captain Jack Sparrow. I had to say. I've heard of One-Eyed Willie, scarcely, but yeah, I'd have to say Captain Jack Sparrow for sure.
I don't have a preference for the answer to this question, unlike the Oreo question. But I love Captain Jack Sparrow. Christopher, I know, loves Captain Jack Sparrow. So once again, Landon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Everybody out there, go follow Landon. Go get your IWTV, because Friday and Saturday, all 3 events will be live on IWTV. I think it's 8 o'clock Eastern for SCI Night 1, 2 p.m. Eastern for Futures, and then back again at 8 p.m. Eastern. I think it might be 7:30. I could be completely wrong. Yeah, 7:30 both nights. Night 2, 7:30 on Saturday. See who's going to win. Again, Landon, good luck, my friend. I am looking forward to meeting you and everybody else in person. And everybody, have a lovely rest of your Wednesday evening. You got 20 minutes left on the East Coast. Thanks, Landon.